Hello and welcome to Love Advice TV. My name is Coach Adrian and this is a very important video. A lot of people after a breakup make a lot of mistakes. It's normal. You're in a heightened emotional place. You're very vulnerable. Your world sometimes collapses as the rug is swept from underneath your feet. And so as a result of that, you beg, you plead, and you try to convince your significant other to take you back. Many mistakes happen after a breakup, and it's important to know the right tools and the right approach to make sure that you avoid these mistakes, but at the same time that you have the tools to remedy them if the mistakes have already occurred. And so a question that was asked to me in a private coaching session that I thought was very important, very pertinent and relevant, and I wanted to do this video as a result of it, was linked to no contact after begging. No contact after you have begged, you have pleaded, and you have basically diminished your chances of getting back together with the significant other because your emotions got the best of you. And you did things that the normal you would never do, and that you perhaps now look back on cringing, how could I have done that? So, is it a good idea to do no contact after you have begged? And the answer is absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Why? It's a good idea because usually it means that you are still in a vulnerable place. If you have made those mistakes, if the breakup has happened relatively recently, you are still probably reeling from it. And if you try to force contact or to engage your significant other too quickly, you're going to make the same mistakes. Even though you know you shouldn't beg and plead and do all those things, you're going to end up in a vulnerable place where you're going to keep repeating those mistakes one way or the other, putting your significant other on a pedestal and conveying to them that you need them to exist, that you're nothing without them. But by doing that, by pouring your heart out, you're actually devaluing yourself, and they're losing respect and attraction for you. They did not fall in love with someone that was desperate to be with them. And so painting yourself in that light is not going to help you now rebuild a relationship. And choosing to walk away, choosing to distance yourself, engaging in a period of no contact may be a good way for you to regain control over your emotions and also convey to your significant other that you are capable of being happy without them, of existing without seeking their validation and attention. And a lot of times that is the purpose of the no contact, is to make sure that you limit the potential mistakes and you start to shift the balance of power in your favor a little bit. And so if you have made those mistakes of begging and pleading, don't despair. Don't feel guilty and don't continuously replay those mistakes over and over again during your period of no contact. On the contrary, you really need to use this time to rebuild yourself, to be proud of the person that you see when you look in the mirror. And also to start to set a different dynamic and new habits to this process. Because ultimately, if you're not your best self, if you're not in control over your fears and your insecurities and your emotions, we're not going to be able to rebuild a healthy relationship. So it's not the end of the world. It doesn't make you a weak person. I've coached many people from all over the world in different cultures, people that are successful, very successful, that aren't able to control their emotions at the time of a breakup. It is very difficult. And if you have made those mistakes, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the end of the relationship. You perhaps are replaying this over and over and over again, but your significant other probably has moved forward and is probably in a very different place now. So as long as you don't continue to remind them that you are in a vulnerable place and that you need them and that you miss them, you're going to be okay. Ultimately, the reality of one moment is not necessarily the reality of another. And this is what I've seen in my coaching sessions and why this video is so, so, so important. And the no contact works. Now, it's important to point out that no contact is not also a magical formula that needs to be applied in a very strict and rigid way for every single dynamic. You need to use your brain, and you need to make sure that you really trust yourself to make good decisions that apply to the reality of your situation and your dynamic. So, for instance, if you're in no contact and your significant other has a relative that goes into the hospital that you know very well, it's okay to break the no contact to check up on them, for example. Or if there's a very important milestone that happens and you want to congratulate them, perhaps you can do so in certain situations. I'm just giving you a few examples so that you're not fanatical about applying the no contact at all costs in every situation, because some people advise you to do that, to never reach out to your significant other no matter what. I don't believe that that is always the best way forward. I do think there are exceptions, and I really want to stress and emphasize the fact that you need to trust yourself and your judgment. Once you're no longer emotional, once you've been able to let the dust settle, have faith in your ability to communicate with your significant other the right way without putting them on a pedestal. We can't fall into these extremes of begging and pleading and zero contact forever. For me, those are both extremes that I want to avoid. And I want to figure out the best way to rebuild that communication within that gray area, putting forward your best quality and attributes and rebuilding that connection and that intimacy that enabled you guys to fall for each other in the first place. That is the essence of this video. If you have begged, if you have pleaded, if you have done all of those things that you know really set you back, no contact can be a good way to level the balance of power. But if you already have been able to level the balance of power, then a strict no contact may no longer be the right approach. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like this video. Tell me in the questions, in the comment sections, share your questions and tell me what you think that I may have missed in regards to this topic, so that I can continue to do more videos building on this one, continuing to give you relevant advice linked to this topic of no contact after begging. My name is Coach Adrian. This is Love Advice TV, and you are fighting the good fight. So keep doing what you're doing, and see you soon for yet another video.